Another week, another round of sales, and this one is seriously loaded with Square Enix titles. They are running a huge sale right now, so there's tons of fantastic games on offer. And as always with Square, expect some long adventures, so backlogs beware. It's mostly going to be RPG heavy, but hey, sometimes you just need a solid role-playing game, right? Hopefully you'll spot one that catches your eye. Let's dive in and see what's on offer. Guacamelee 2 is a great little Metroidvania with a ton of personality, colourful, fun, and full of creative platforming. You're jumping, punching, and using wrestling moves to navigate the world, fight enemies, and solve puzzles. And if you've got somebody to play with, the co-op's a blast. The story mode is light and fun, but the real star is the gameplay. It's tight, fast, and satisfying. You can finish the main story in about 8 hours, but there are plenty of collectibles and challenges if you want to keep going beyond that. Guacamelee 2 is 75% off its lowest ever price of £4.49. And that sale runs until October 14th. Now moving on to a game that doesn't really need any selling, but hey, Dead Cells is fantastic. It's a roguelike action platformer where you're exploring procedurally generated levels, fighting enemies, and collecting weapons and upgrades as you go. And as we all know, it's stupidly addictive. The combat is fast, fluid, and rewarding, with tons of different playstyles depending on your loadout. There's no traditional story, but the world is full of secrets, lore, and surprises for those who want to explore. The individual runs are short, maybe 20 to 40 minutes, but the replayability is insane, and the sense of progression keeps you coming back. It's a 2.4 gig download, and in regards to game length, the main story would take you about 15 hours. But if you have any thoughts of 100% completing this game, you're looking at well over 100 hours. Dead Cells, currently 50% off at just £11.24, is on sale until October 12th. All of the DLC is currently on sale too, but beware, with each adding 3 to 5 hours of gameplay, this could put a serious halt on your backlog. Now, the first of many RPGs from the Square Enix sale is one of the most overlooked games, Lost Sphear. It's from the team behind I Am Setsuna, so you know it's going to hit that nostalgic JRPG sweet spot, but this time round with some fresh twists. It's a game in which you rebuild the world by exploring and regaining your memories, which is surprisingly satisfying. The combat is turn-based but has a nice rhythm to it. You can chain attacks and mix magic and skills in a way that feels strategic without being overwhelming. It's got a great emotional story and charming characters, and the soundtrack is beautiful as always. At just £9.99, a 75% discount, it's a solid pick for anyone craving that classic JRPG vibe with a little modern polish. Lost Sphear is on sale until October 2nd. And now for a franchise I've never really played, the Valkyria Chronicles. Ever since the PSP release, I've always been interested, I've just never pulled the trigger. They are military-themed tactical role-playing games that blend tactical, turn-based strategy with real-time movement in a way that still feels fresh. You are moving units across battlefields, taking cover, setting up shots, but there's also strong story elements running through both games. Wartime drama, friendships, and sacrifices. There's a real watercolour vibe to their art style, which holds up really well on the Switch. This bundle includes the original cult classic and the much larger modernised Valkyria Chronicles 4, so you're getting 2 big campaigns here with tons of hours of content. Combined, you could easily sink 60 to 80 hours in. They are currently 75% off now for just £12.74 and will remain on sale until September 24th. Up next is Sparklight, a really lovely and quite honestly underrated game. It's got that top-down Zelda feel, but with a roguelike twist. The world shifts every time you head out, so there's a nice sense of discovery every time you're exploring, solving puzzles, and taking down bosses. It's a pretty simple gameplay loop of collecting Sparklight, the main resource, and channeling that back into upgrades for both your gear and your hub. The pixel art is gorgeous, really colourful, and it's backed by a soundtrack that has that retro adventure charm. It's a tighter experience, maybe 8 to 10 hours, but there is a reason to go back if you want to push it further and really complete the game. Sparklight comes in at just over 1.5 gig download and is 85% off, matching its lowest ever price of just £2.99 or your regional equivalent, and this sale runs until October 10th. The next few games will all be from the Square Enix sale, and whilst on the slightly pricier side, you know they're going to come with that Square Enix polish and level of detail that allows you to sink dozens of hours into them. Unfortunately, they all are on the larger side of things in regards to download size. First up is the Star Ocean Second Story remake, and this game was breathtaking. A real classic brought back to life. It's an action RPG with fast, real-time combat, but what really makes it stand out is the branching story. You can choose your protagonist, Claude or Raina, and that changes the perspective, the party members, and even the endings. It's packed with side quests, private actions, and character building, so there's loads to dig into if you want to see everything. It's got that new 2D HD art style that looks great on the Switch, modern effects with that classic pixel character design. Some people are a little fatigued with this now, but I still love it. You are looking at 30 to 40 hours for a playthrough, but easily double that if you want to see all the routes in all the endings. It's a pretty hefty 12GB download, so not the smallest, but Star Ocean Second Story Remake is 50% off at a modest £22.49 until the 2nd of October. The next Square game is Final Fantasy VII Reunion. This is the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, and it focuses on Zack Fair, who's one of the most beloved characters in the series. It's an action RPG with flashy combat, combos, and slot-based mechanic that mixes in limit breaks and summons. What really sets it apart though is the story. Emotional, dramatic, and it ties directly into the events of Final Fantasy VII, so if you're a fan of that story, this is essential. The remake treatment here is impressive too. New visuals, voice acting, and a completely overhauled combat system that feels modern. You're looking at about 15 to 20 hours for the main story, and closer to 30 if you complete all of the side quests. It's a pretty hefty 14 gig download, but Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is 60% off at £19.95 until October 2nd. You can also pick this up physically in the UK on Amazon or in-game for the same price, so keep an eye out for that. And now for another gem. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition, is incredible. I wouldn't say it's underrated, but I definitely think more people should be talking about it. I guess it's just a victim of its predecessor's success in Chrono Trigger. I will say, I'm amazed that this one got the remaster treatment, but maybe it was for that reason. Everyone is always waxing lyrical about the first game, rightfully so, but Chrono Cross did fly under the radar. And whilst it never quite hit those same highs, I do appreciate the risks they took with the change of direction, and I have to say, the soundtrack is quite possibly one of the greatest of all time. It really is incredible. You will be diving into a parallel world adventure with branching storylines, dozens of characters, and turn-based combat that feels deep and rewarding. The Radical Dreamers content adds even more context to the story, making it a treat for long-time fans. The art style has aged beautifully and the Switch version runs smoothly. A full playthrough takes about 35 hours, and there's plenty to come back for if you want all of the endings. It's a 4GB download and is 60% off currently at just £6.39, matching its lowest ever price. This will be on sale until October 2nd. At this price, it's an absolute steal. It's a brilliant game, and I implore anyone who's never played it to purchase it. World of Final Fantasy Maxima is a great little spin-off that never really got the attention it deserved. This might be because of the art style or the tone. It takes the Final Fantasy universe and gives it a really fun, light-hearted spin. You're collecting monsters called mirages and stacking them on top of each other, which actually ties into the battle system. It's turn-based, but the stacking mechanic changes up your stats and abilities, so there's a nice layer of strategy to it. The story is charming, packed with cameos from classic Final Fantasy characters, and the Maxima edition adds even more content, including new mirages and extra story elements. It's not a short game either. You're easily looking at 40 to 60 hours if you really dive in. It comes in at about 11GB download, and it really is a great game that a lot of people missed. World of Final Fantasy Maxima It's fantastic value. It's 60% off, just £13.99, matching its lowest ever price, and is on sale until October 2nd. And one final Square JRPG is Fantasian Neo Dimension, and it's gorgeous. It's another turn-based RPG from Hironobu Sakaguchi. Yeah, I've probably just butchered that. He is one of the creators and producers of Final Fantasy VII, 8, 9 and Final Fantasy Tactics. In this game, you will play as an amnesiac adventurer. I know, not heard that one before, right? Anyway, you are exploring a world made of handcrafted dioramas. The combat is strategic with a unique system called Dimensions that allow you to bank enemy encounters for later. The story unfolds with twists and emotional depth, and the music is top tier as you would expect. It's about a 20 to 30 hour adventure, and the Switch version runs at 60 FPS with voice acting in English and Japanese. Currently at 40% off, it's slightly pricier at £29.99. If your backlog is looking pretty hefty, maybe hold off on this one, but if there is light at the end of the tunnel, then consider picking it up. It truly is an underrated RPG. Fantasian Neo Dimension is on sale until October 2nd. Now moving away from Square Enix for 5 seconds, The Last Spell is brutal, but in the best way. It's a tactical RPG mixture of roguelike and tower defense mechanics, where you're defending a city from endless hordes of monsters each night. By day, you're building up defenses, upgrading gear, recruiting heroes, then when the sun sets, it's all about survival. The combat is fast and snappy, but it still demands strategy because enemies come at you in huge waves. Every run feels different thanks to the progression system and the way the maps evolve. It's tough, really tough, but incredibly satisfying when you pull off a clutch defense or build perfectly and just annihilate the waves. You will easily get over 50 hours of gameplay here. The Last Spell is currently at its lowest ever price at 60% off, costing you just £8.99 until October 13th. The Monster Hunter Stories collection is a fantastic bundle. It's 2 charming and surprisingly deep turn-based RPG in which you are raising monsters, bonding with them, and using them in battles that are strategic but accessible. The story is light-hearted but engaging, and there's lots of side content to explore, from quests to breeding new monsters with unique abilities. This collection includes both games, so there's a ton of content, easily 50 to 60 hours each if you want to see everything. I would personally play them in order, as the second game pretty much improves on all aspects of the original, even after its remake from the 3DS. The visuals are colourful and the music is catchy, perfect for long play sessions. At 25GB download, it's huge, but that is 2 fully complete games where you are looking about 100 plus hours to complete both. Monster Hunter Stories collection is currently 50% off at just £24.80 until September 29th. They are also on sale individually, so if that price tag is a sticky point, then consider just buying the second game. As I said, it pretty much improves on all aspects of the first game. And I guess I'll end with one final Square Enix game. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, Everybody. This is a charming, really fun and surprisingly deep dungeon crawler. You play as a Chocobo exploring procedurally generated dungeons, recruiting monsters to join your team, and uncovering secrets along the way. The turn-based combat keeps you thinking, and each dungeon feels fresh thanks to a variety of monsters and traps. The story is light-hearted but engaging, perfect for both long-time Final Fantasy fans and newcomers. It's not going to set the world alight, but it's a fun little spin-off. A single playthrough can take about 25 hours, but there's plenty of optional content for completionists, upwards of 70 hours of gameplay. It's a 1.5GB download, 60% off, currently matching its lowest ever price of £13.19 until October 2nd. Alright, that's this week's roundup. Hopefully this has helped you cut through the chaos and find something worth grabbing. As I said, it's pretty RPG heavy, but hey, that's my favourite genre. If you picked something up or I missed a hidden gem, drop it in the comments. I'm always down to hear what people are playing. And if you found this useful, consider leaving a like. It really helps me see what type of content to keep making. With that said, thanks for watching. Stay cozy. I'll see you around.